tour to get an update on projects that are going on and will be going on. So thank you all for your patience. We are going to call to order the meeting for February 26th, Caledonia Community Schools Board of Education. If you could all rise for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we please have roll call?
Barbara Garcia. Here. Randall.
Here.
Isich here. Morris.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
Sadoo.
Here.
White.
Here, thank you. Student representative, not seeing, no? Okay, thank you. If you are here for public comment, we do still ask that you fill out the comment card. There is information on the back. You do have 3 minutes to address the board as a whole. We do appreciate that you do not address any personnel issues at this time. If you need help on being redirected as to where to go, please let us know that. But we will have appropriate follow-up from these cards. That will, we ask that those be turned in before the public comment time in the back of the room here. All right, we are going to move on to 6, which is our,
5 is public comment.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Apparently I was gonna do it afterwards because we did it after, okay. Anyway, do we have any cards turned in? All right, thank you. We're gonna move on to 6, consent agenda. We have January 31st, 2024 special meeting minutes, January 31st, 2024 workshop minutes, February 21st, 2024 committee of the whole minutes, January 2024 payables, and February 2024 personnel report.
I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Were there any questions, corrections, anything on there that needs to be identified? Could I please have roll call?
Barbara Garcia. Yes. Randall.
Yes.
Isich yes. Morris.
Yes.
Nichols.
Yes.
Sadoo.
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. As my brain was skipping ahead here, let me just mention a couple of quick things. One is we have switched at this point in time how we're doing our meetings a little bit. So instead of having committee meetings that we typically have in the morning, we just started. Last week we did a committee of the whole. So the entire board met together at that point in time. It is a meeting that it is our mission to have nothing on that meeting that we would vote on. So all voting items will be at our general board meetings, which follow the third week of the month. So with that, we did switch around our agenda a little bit. So we are going to do action items first, which are the items that we discussed that the committee of the whole would be on this month's agenda to vote on. Then we will have discussion items after that. Those discussion items will be things that we will be looking at again, and then we will be voting on either next month or in the future. So when you're looking at our agenda, that is why it is different in appearance. So it still has the same items on it, just flip-flopped in order, and we're going to give this a try for a couple months and see how this works and then reevaluate. So in case you're sitting there thinking this doesn't seem right, it is different. So we are going to move to 7, which is superintendent report. 7A is student data review with Dr. Diaz.
Good evening. No, don't know that that's, maybe it is on, I just wasn't quite close enough. All right, glad you all had an opportunity to enjoy the sunshine this afternoon and get around to some of the building projects that are happening. So we wanted to share with you an update kind of on where we are with our benchmark assessments, particularly kindergarten through 8th grade. In the middle of the year. You may recall that under 98B, post-COVID, we were required to bring data to the board in both February and in June. It is not a requirement anymore, 98B is gone. However, we felt that number one, it was still important to continue with benchmark assessments so that we have a kind of a checkpoint throughout the year regarding student learning. And also that you all have an opportunity to have that information presented to you. So we will continue to provide these updates in mid-year and end of year for your information. So starting with attendance trends, this is our attendance trends by grade. And the way that it's reported is around chronic absenteeism. So instead of saying, well, here's what our daily attendance is, which could be 95%, we're looking now more at chronic absenteeism, which is how many of our students have missed more than 10% of their school time. And so that covers students that are out for excused or unexcused, but it allows for us then to target supports for those students to say if they're missing more than 10% of their school days, then what can we maybe do to help support? So as you look across the columns, they start at kindergarten and move through 12th grade. The different bands represent different levels of attendance issues. So the green is no absence issues, so students who are attending 95 to 100% of their school days. Trending chronic is 92.5 to 95% attendance. Nearly chronic, 90 to 92.5, and then chronically is again students who are attending less than 90%. So at the elementary grades, the attendance is determined off of daily attendance taken both in the morning and the afternoon. When we get into secondary and schools are broken out or the day is broken out by periods, it's an aggregate of the periods that students are in attendance. So if there are 100 periods that they can be in and they've missed more than 10% of those, they would be considered chronically absent, but it's based on an aggregate. So moving into some assessments, Acadians is specifically for our younger students. So this is kindergarten through 4th grade. Acadians is a universal screener and progress monitoring tool that measures early literacy skill acquisition. It actually can be used at 5th and 6th grade, but we currently only use it at kindergarten through 4th. So you can see that our blue bands are students that are above our benchmark, again for mid-year assessment, and then at benchmark below and well below. So the first bar in each grouping is their beginning of the year score, so they would have taken that in August or early September. And then the second band is their current assessment, which they took just before the holiday break. This is also Acadians, broken down, however, by subgroup. So if you took all of our K through 4th grade students and you group them together, that is the first set of scores. And then broken down by female, male, our ELL or English as a second language learners, and special education students. Moving to our other benchmark assessment tool, we have iReady. And iReady is both a ELA and a math assessment, so there are two pieces to iReady. And the ELA diagnostic or the reading diagnostic specifically assesses student reading skills down to a very detailed kind of subdomain level. So it's looking very closely at phonics, phonological awareness, vocabulary, where are our students in terms of being able to comprehend. And then the math diagnostic is actually an adaptive assessment. So as students are able to answer more questions correctly, they get given more questions, and then the resulting score provides what we call a MyPath for students to continue their learning. So if they're below benchmark, their path specifically addresses those missing skills. On benchmark or above benchmark, it provides a path accordingly. So as we look at our growth for students on the iReady over the course of the year, we look at what is called typical growth and stretch growth. So what we want to make sure is that we have our students at least making a year's growth in a year's time. And that's great if you're on or above benchmark level, but if you are below especially, we really want to see you making stretch growth, which is a year and a half's growth in a year's time, because we're looking to try to help close that gap and build students up to benchmark levels. So these two graphs, the top one shows the percentage of students that at mid-year have met half of the typical growth expectation. So we have between 60 and 76% of our students are right where they're supposed to be at the mid-year. And then for students that have met half of their stretch growth, that's the bar across the bottom with the darker blue. And we also have a good showing there. Those students are a part of the group that has also met typical growth. So kind of that bottom grouping lies within the upper grouping. So this is reading, and this is math. So math still continues to be an area where we have more challenges for our students. And then looking at our iReady benchmarks and how we kind of compare to the national norm, as well as other students that have taken the assessment this year thus far. We'll start with reading, and this is K 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the top there, you'll see the grades. And then the first band is the national norm, which was actually from 2018-19. So we are talking pre-COVID scores is where the national norm sits at this time. The middle bar is the national year-to-date, so any students that had taken the assessment at the same time as we did, so that there's comparative scores there. And the third bar then is Caledonia. And the number of students assessed at each grade level is in the bottom underneath. So certainly some strong showings there. I think exceeding the national norm and as well as the national year-to-date across the board. This is also reading same information just for 6, 7, and 8. So we can see that in general, the number of students that are within each of those bands, whether it's above grade level or below grade level, it changes significantly across nationally for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. But again, Caledonia on the third bar in each grouping is showing substantially better outcomes than what we show nationally. And then this is mathematics, same information in terms of how the bars are set in each of the categories. And 6, 7, 8. Questions? Yes, Jason.
So something I noticed between the last time and this time. So if you look at slides 9 and 10, which is the blue bars of progress, the number of kindergartners in the assessment pool is like vastly different between the two slides, between reading and math. And then that's even vastly different from the benchmark comparison slides later. So like that says, I think, what, 295 on it or something like that. And then if you look down at the other ones, you're in the 300s to 350 range for kindergarten. And it feels like that, when I was looking through, that was just like the one that jumped out as being vastly different. Everyone else is like within a few across the slides. Just, I guess, is there a reason that there's maybe a difference in counting for the kindergarten?
I'll have to dig into
Okay.
that. So thank you for pointing that out, but I do not have an answer for that, so I'll have to look into that and get back to you. Yes, Tim? Sorry, is it okay if I say yes? Okay.
Absolutely, that's fine.
Boy, in the high school in particular, on the absence, the chronically absent, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I think it would be interesting to learn how that correlates with grade point average and seeing to what degree this chronic absenteeism is playing a role when it comes to the ultimate measurement, which I think is GPA. There are others, but anyway.
No, thank you for the question. We have actually pulled that data and I can share that with you. And unfortunately, there is a pretty significant correlation between students with high absenteeism and lower academic outcomes.
So this information that you're gaining will be used for intervention?
Correct.
Okay, very good.
Additional questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. We're gonna move to 7B at this time, which is our filter first legislation.
Good evening. An informative piece this evening. In October of 2023, the governor signed PA 154, the Clean Drinking Water Access Act, which is specifically designed to advance the protections for children in schools and child care centers from lead in drinking water. Unfortunately, there are many areas that still have lead in drinking water, many areas that still have lead in their piping. And I'll be honest, I cannot say that we are particularly perfectly safe from it ourselves. So, in support of this, EGLE, the Environment, Great Lakes and Energy Department, has started to promulgate rules, started to make public statements about it, and you will be hearing about it. More in the news as it progresses. The core of the program is that we are to develop a drinking water management plan that identifies all of our potable water sources in the building. We do a risk assessment for drinking water in our plumbing systems. We're going to be providing routine testing of the filtered sources. I say that with an italic in my voice because that's interesting that the filters are designed to remove everything, and we're going to be paying for testing on top of what we hope is already working. So at least I hope that particular requirement, when we prove that it's working, will pass away. Eliminate and identify drinking water sources that cannot be controlled or filtered. And I'm going to start a couple things going around for the board. This is an example of what a control is. Bathroom sinks specifically are not drinking water sources. A gang bathroom sink. There's no cups, there's no methodology for drinking, but at the same time, it is a water source that could be. So we're going to be looking at continuing or initiating the use of these in the buildings. I've had personally great luck with these in the past. They are very, very durable, and they work very well. We'll also be using these in classrooms, where again, the classroom source is not specifically designed to be a potable source. We're looking at removing bubblers from classrooms because we would have thousands of filtered devices. We will be working with the state, who has proposed a $50 million budget to support the installation of lead-reducing water stations, meaning water fountains and bottle fillers, throughout the state. We're going to work as diligently as we can to be ahead of the program so that we are ready to go when they announce the funding and the applications. So we've already taken some good steps down this road, and we will keep reporting on the impact and what it means to us.
So just to clarify, every single water outlet in the district has to be identified, and Mr. Hess and his team have to keep records of that water source individually for every single faucet, spigot, you name it, across the district. So it'll be a large task, but appreciate your work toward it.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Hess? Tim?
Of that $50 million, do we have any idea how much we'll receive? And one part. Second part is, what do you estimate the cost will be for us to maintain this reporting and such moving forward?
A lot of unknowns. I don't know. I can say that if we replace 100% of our water fountains, that's 111 district-wide at $2,000 apiece, you can see that we automatically are in for over $200,000. And that's just water fountains. That does not include potable water sources in kitchens, stadiums, concession stands, classrooms like food sciences, and we're discovering new ones where, okay, that's actually a potable water source. Interesting. So, there's a lot of big unknowns, and I personally don't believe that $50 million is going to go far enough. So it's why I want to be ahead of the game and get as much as that fair share we can. And as for the continuing cost, I know that currently we spend thousands of dollars quarterly to test our well water and report that through the state. So we're already in that game now. So the testing will definitely have to expand quite a bit.
Jason?
Yeah, when we met last time, there was still, I think, a little bit of a question on the football team and their drinking. Did we find anything out in the last few days?
Absolutely not. As an example I use, so the audience understands the magnitude of this, the football and soccer teams and sports people use a water tree. It's essentially it's actually a drinking water hose attached to a water spigot that produces 12 different little spray, and they just drink away. I don't have a clue how we're gonna set a filter that meets their specifications to that, so should be interesting.
Any additional questions?
So, and again, we have a couple of years for implementation.
Yes, we have to be implemented by the 25-26 school year, so that's where we are getting a jump on this. A whole lot of these forms.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we're gonna move to action item.
I have one other thing on
Sure.
my report then. Just wanted to share with the board, over the last week, we've had a couple opportunities to meet with various community groups, our key communicators and with some of our senior citizens and all, and we shared with them a number of our points of pride over the last couple of months, so I thought it would be good for you to see these things as well. There's been a whole raft of different things going on and just some really outstanding achievements. And these are, there are great things happening every day in the classroom, and our teachers doing great work with our kids day in and day out. But these are some other just things that some you may have already seen, but a few that you may not have. So I think I have the power here. So we will begin here with our choirs. At the high school, we had a number of our students who qualified to go to the state honors choir, and then from that there was a competitive process, and we had students on the left who were selected to be all state for honors choir. Also, a number of our students in the choir program participated in solo and ensemble. And the students you see pictured there received first division ratings, which is the highest possible rating that you can get at that solo and ensemble festival. Just recently, the high school choirs, all 5 choirs at their district choral festival earned a Division I rating, again, the top rating that they can score. And in fact, one of our choirs received a perfect score from the judges. So that's very, very difficult to do. So fantastic results from our high school choirs. The orchestra program also had its solo and ensemble festival in the last couple of weeks, and 48 students attended that, and all 48 of our students medaled, which means they got either a Division I or a Division II rating, the top 2 ratings you can receive. And 37 of those 48 got a first division rating, and that qualifies them to move on to state solo and ensemble. Our DECA program had state qualifiers, as you see, in a number of different categories, and those are the students on the left. And then just this weekend, some of our mock trial students actually went down to Oakland County to participate in a regional competition down there in Oakland County, and the group you see pictured here qualified for state. So Mrs. Youngman's here in the audience, so congratulations. She's one of the advisors for the mock trial. We will have a couple of other groups also participating here in Kent County coming up, but we had some conflicts with like the musical coming up, right? So wanted to give these students the opportunity to qualify for state, and so they went ahead down to Oakland County this weekend. Took one of the slots from Oakland County, which is good. And then our others will be competing in the Kent County program. Art, we've had students pictured here have received Scholastic Art Awards for their art projects, as you see there. And then I just wanted to quickly highlight our esports team, which is a brand new offering this year. They've had their first competition in the past week, and they actually won it. So that's great. And they will continue to be competing here over the next couple of weeks, and there will be additional regional competitions for them, hopefully in the future. Our FFA program had other students who qualified for state, which was held last week. Mackenzie Krenz finished in second in the regionals in Creed speaking, it's called, and then our junior high conduct of meetings team won their category at the regionals and also qualified to move on to state competition. When it comes to creative writing, regional competition just occurred for that, and Duncan Lake Middle School placed third in Division I in our region, and the Cal High School team placed second overall, so they will be moving on to state competition as well, both those groups. And individually speaking, Zach here on the left in the picture on the right, the little block on the right, he placed first in poetry. He's a middle school student. And Addison, a high school student, placed 12th overall in Division I in poetry, so in her competition rather. So congratulations to them as well. Our middle schoolers also had a great showing in choir as well. So these are members of the All-State Honors Choir from the middle school level. And then on the right here, you see our building champions in the spelling bee for both Craft Meadows and Duncan Lake. So congratulations to those students as well. A week or so ago now, I was pleased to be able to participate in the induction ceremony for 47 Duncan Lake Middle School students who were inducted into the National Junior Honor Society, so that's always a great event. And then in robotics, we've had a number of teams qualify for state competition. On the right here, this is our two middle school VEX teams that qualified for state. The team on the bottom, due to their performance there, actually qualified for the World Championships in robotics, so that's terrific. This past weekend, we had 4 high school teams compete in the state finals, and this coming weekend, the 3 teams on the right are representing Craft Meadows, and they will be participating in the state finals this coming weekend. And then in wrestling, 2 of our young ladies have qualified for state in wrestling. Maddie Hayden on the left won her division at regionals, so she took first place, and Hallie took second place in her division. And then our bowling team had 2 young ladies qualify also for state competition in bowling, and on the right, DJ, he qualified for state in ski. So it's been a terrific individual accomplishment time period here. We also wanted to just tell you about a couple of other larger things that have been happening too. At Craft Meadows, we also were the recipient, Ashley Sackett was the recipient of a grant from the Tanger Kids program for work with amphibians of some sort. So she got a grant for that program, and then we will be having a recognition ceremony next Monday for Dutton Elementary, which has been selected by West Michigan Regional Business Organization called Talent First, which represents a huge input of economic interests here in West Michigan. They have selected Dutton Elementary as one of the 5 West Michigan schools to receive their first ever Literacy Leader Award, and so that award will be presented next Monday. So, if you, any folks want to keep track of all the outstanding things going on, you can go to our website here and check on our Points of Pride, and you can recap through all those things. So, really an awesome couple of months for us in a number of different areas.
Thank you. That was actually an incredible amount of stuff crammed in there. So can we, since we've switched our agendas and we're doing it, can we add, like, when we have our superintendent report or whatever else we have there? I mean, I'm finding as I'm looking at it, and we're obviously hearing some of the stuff repetitively in meetings very close together. Can we just add another line just for additional items, just so I don't skip over poor Mr. Wheeldryer here? I mean, this is the important stuff and why we're here, so I mean, I would, I just wanna make sure that we, okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Wheeldryer? Thank you very much. All right, we are now going to move to our action items. As I said, I was gonna say these items are items that we have previously discussed. On rare occasion, we will have something that comes to us that has a time frame on it that we do have to move faster on than what we normally do. Most of these things are things that have been presented at least 1 month in advance, sometimes more, talked about also in committees as well. So we will start with 8A, which is 2024 bus purchase.
I move that the board approve the purchase of 3 2024 school buses from Hoekstra Transportation, 2 77 passenger buses and 1 30 passenger school bus as presented at a total cost of $388,767.
May I have a second?
Support.
Thank you, Tim. Are there any additional questions on this item? Could I please have roll call?
Brando,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Berbers Garcia,
Yes.
White.
Yes. Motion carries. On to 8B, Schools of Choice Resolution.
I move that the board approve the resolution to opt out of section 105.
Second. Any questions on that?
Just as a point of explanation, there will be 3 motions here having to do with the school of choice resolution. So this first one, section 105, opting out of that's the in-county school of choice plan. And for a number of years, Caledonia has participated instead of in the statewide, state mandated kind of plan. We have also within Kent ISD our own collaborative school of choice plan, and so in a few moments that motion will be brought forward.
Can I have roll call, please?
Berbers Garcia,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Brando,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Nichols,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. B2,
I move that the board approve the resolution to opt out of section 105C.
second. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Nichols,
Yes.
Berbers Garcia,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Brando,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Morris,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. B3,
I move that the board approve the resolution to participate in the Kent ISD Collaborative Schools of Choice program for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
any further questions? Roll call, please.
Isich, yes, Brando,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Berbers Garcia,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. We will now move to 8C, which is Finance Management System.
I move that the board approve the selection of Skyward to replace the district's financial management system.
You have a second?
Second.
Any questions, anything you wanted to add?
Well, I'll just add that the finance department, as we had discussed at the committee of the whole meeting, worked through the remaining questions they had on this, and based on the various information that they were able to gather, they did go with the Skyward system as the recommendation for the board. If you'll remember that over time is the one that from a year to year cost standpoint will be lower. The initial implementation is a little higher, but then they were also very pleased with the various different features that it had. So that's a recommendation coming from the finance department. And again, this is something we're having to do because our current finance system is at its end of life.
Any additional questions? Right, roll call, please.
Sadu,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Brando,
Yes.
Berbers Garcia,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. 8D, Purchase Agreement Amendment.
So as the board will recall, this is the item where there was a request from JTB Homes to amend our purchase agreement with them for the property at the New Dutton, south of the New Dutton Elementary.
I am not receiving a motion, so we will just eliminate that. Just please skip it over on the thing, all right? 8E, Committee of the Whole dates.
I move that the board schedule committee of the whole dates as follows: March 13th, 2024, April 10th, 2024, May 15th, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Everybody's got those down. We will reevaluate after that time. Can I please have roll call?
Brando,
Yes.
Isich, yes, Morris,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Berbers Garcia,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. We will move now to 9, which are discussion items. 9A is Dutton, the construction change order.
The December 11th, 2023 Board of Education approval of the Dutton Elementary Construction Bid Pack 2 included in the budget day summary, a line item noting $300,000 commitment of contingency money for unsuitable soil conditions. The Crispin Construction had identified to the district and to owners' representation that there was and is a very high likelihood of difficult, uncooperative, and challenging soil conditions on the Dutton site. I think it was a very wise move to include that right up front and notice about it because we have experienced exactly that. Bond governance documentation regarding change orders states that any orders in excess of $100,000 require notice and approval of the Board of Education. To date, we have had just slightly over $200,000 of undercutting and soil replacement for the foundation systems. We expect to have slightly more that will be for some of the flat work and slab on grades within the foundation areas, but we will not at this point predict to even come close to the 300,000, which is good. But this is notifying the board, and we will have a further report at the next meeting to clarify and finalize. This is the first reading of this.
Any questions for Mr. Hess? We're good? Maybe? We're not good? We're good? All right.
Expecting a question from Jason.
Thank you. We're on to 9B, Emmons Lake paving project.
Good evening. This project is part of the 2020 bond issue. It is the planned replacement of the existing analog PA system that is in place at Emmons Lake. This will bring it up to on par with the rest of the district that we've already made these upgrades in. This will improve communications between the classroom and the office if they need to page in to have a student come down to the office. Right now that goes through the desk phone. It's not very loud, especially if the kids are active, so it'll be a large speaker in the ceiling like that, and all of the classrooms. We will be adding strobe lights in large instructional spaces inside. Instruction is in gymnasium and cafeteria as well. Those will flash red in the event of a lockdown. And if there's just a normal bell schedule or a building daily announcement, the light will flash green to get their attention. And those lights will also be on the exterior of the building, on the playgrounds and near parking lots where large traffic volumes happen. The RFP is out for bid right now. We'll be receiving bids on March 5 and then coming back to the board for approval on this purchase at the March meeting.
Any questions? We're all good, thank you.
Okay.
You can hang right here though with us, right?
I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, we're gonna move to school safety grant purchases.
All right, this is part of the current safety grant. This project will add cameras, IP speakers, internet or network speakers rather than analog speakers, to increase coverage on many of the playgrounds at the elementary, and also adding them to the exterior of secondary buildings, bus entrances, main entrances, places that we don't currently have any speakers to convey announcements or, again, lockdown drills. We'll be adding strobe lights in all of the buildings, again, in the spaces I mentioned, and then in band, orchestra, choir at the secondary buildings, as well as the exteriors. We'll be adding video intercoms at the high school entrances and also at transportation. Those three locations don't currently have those. And we'll also be putting wireless access points in the bus loops which will allow the transportation department, if the need arises, to download video from the bus if an incident occurred on the bus between buildings and they needed to get access to that prior to getting the bus back to the bus garage. So all of those things are rolled into this package. Again, this is a bid that is out on the street now. Bids will be received on the 5th of March and we'll come back to the March board meeting for approval on that project.
Any questions? We're good,
Great, thank you.
thank you. We're gonna move to 9D, which is textbook adoption. Dr. Diaz.
Hello again. Periodically, College Board, which is the organization that creates, distributes, grades the AP exams across content areas, they look at their assessments to determine whether or not they still are a strong reflection of what they feel students need to know and be able to understand for college level credit at the high school level. And so the College Board did update the AP Government test, which actually will go into effect this spring. So the new assessment our students will be taking this spring. So we had a couple of things that kind of came into play. Initially, we did not adopt an AP Government textbook with our social studies adoption a few years ago. And we had licenses that have since expired. So the way that our previous textbook worked is we purchased a number of licenses for students to have access to those materials online, and those licenses have been now used up. So with those two things in mind, or really three things in mind, we decided it would make sense to take a look and make sure that the textbook that we were using was best aligned to the new version of the AP Government assessment. So our AP Government staff took a look at 3 different materials. The College Board does put out a list of textbooks that they feel align well with their assessment. And so they chose 3 of those to take a look at. They met with the vendors, reviewed the materials, and ultimately made the selection for the American Politics and Government Today AP edition by William Bianco and David Cannon as their selected textbook for 24-25 and beyond. So per board policy 2510, the recommended text will be available for community review from today until our March board meeting when it comes back for approval. Individuals can come to the administration during business hours, so 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. And if anyone needs an accommodation for an opportunity outside of those times, they can contact our admin assistant in the teaching and learning department just by calling the main number of our offices here and asking for Christy Russell, which she's sitting right here as well. So we are looking forward to this opportunity for our students and staff.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great, at this time, we're gonna move on to 10, which is board comments.
I have just a couple of things regarding the textbooks. Those become available tomorrow and we are gonna have that announced on the website, is that correct?
That is what we've done previously, or we did the last time anyway, and I do believe that according to what I saw, that it would be there. It would also be made known at the high school in the newsletters.
Why don't you go ahead, Mrs. Diaz?
Oh. Book is right here. So we have 3 copies available for people to review. It actually is on the website already. So we officially opened the opportunity today, knowing that we were bringing it here, but had brought it to the committee of the whole last week. And so people can come and take a look.
And it's publicized in 2 spots on the website and is
It
also
will be
on
in the high school
high
newsletter.
school newsletter.
I was gonna say, I already saw it on the website, so.
Yeah.
I was
High
like, wait a
school
minute.
newsletter
So on
and
social media
it's been out
instead of
on
our
social
weekly
media as well.
memo.
And Kelly did a great job and posted it on social media too. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you, I apologize.
At least they all saw it, we're good then, so. Thank you, yep, nope, we're good with that.
Perfect, thank you. And then also, I know it was highlighted in our points of pride, but I also wanted to just give a special shout out to the mock trial team. Justin and I actually drove over to Oakland County Circuit Court and were able to watch not only our own child's debate team, but we ended up in the wrong room and got to watch the other Caledonia team as well. So I can personally say that they both did an excellent job. And just being able to see their coaching, I know there were a lot of schools there represented and they all have great coaches that are spending a lot of time, but it was very obvious that the quality of coaching that our students receive and the ability to receive that coaching in a classroom environment rather than only after school really improved their performance. And so special shout out to that team and to their coach who's sitting here as well. I wanted to also mention that she worked really hard outside of just preparing the children, but arguing essentially with the board so that they would be able to go to Oakland County because she was able to see that our kids were performing really well, but they were competing against each other. And I think that that just shows the extra heart that Mrs. Youngman had for them, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Any other, Katie?
This was not covered in the Points of Pride, but this Thursday there is a talent show at Duncan Lake for the Emmons Lake students. One of our second grade teachers at Emmons Lake, I think this is the first time actually that they've ever done it, at least for like my daughter in second grade. But she is wrangling 60 students from kindergarten all the way to fourth grade. And I caught like a little glimpse of one of their like rehearsals and it was really good. My daughter is in it. I apologize in advance if she goes off script because she's telling jokes. But the second grade teacher, Mrs. Bernatch, I think that's how you say it, but I'm not.
It is.
Okay.
That's right.
She's put in a lot of work and I really appreciate it personally. So if anyone has free time, you should go check it out. And as a reminder to everyone, because we're not coming back till the middle of March, Melissa has sent an email to everyone inviting them to read to the kindergartners at Emmons, which is a great opportunity. Also a reminder, if you have students in school, visit those teachers for reading in the month of March for reading appreciation. So that's it.
Thank you. You ready, Tim?
Just to clarify, the book availability for the public, it says in our information, it says through March 15, but it's gonna be actually through the 18th, is that right?
Yes, that,
Yeah.
initially, we had that date as the 15th, but we were just wrong, so that's been corrected to March
Okay.
18th. Yeah,
Sorry if I missed it
corrected.
earlier, I just wanted to
Yep.
clarify that, thank you.
Anybody else? All right. At this point in time, I just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Enjoy the weather.